A vision in Dearborn. In the quiet heart of Dearborn, Michigan, the world slows to a rhythmic, steady pulse. Here, within the glass-walled sanctuaries of the Ford Product Development Center, the legacy of the Mustang does not roar. It whispers as the evening sun begins its slow descent, casting long, amber shadows across the manicured lawns and the still waters of the surrounding ponds. A profound stillness settles over the halls, where history is drafted in pencil and light. The air inside the design studio is cool and carries the faint, nostalgic scent of graphite, heated wax, and the clean, mineral aroma of industrial clay. It is a space of infinite potential, where the frantic pace of the outside world is filtered through heavy glass, leaving only the soft, rhythmic hum of the ventilation system and the distant, melodic chime of a closing door. In this modern era, the vision of the Mustang remains a meditative practice, a bridge between the heritage of the past and the silent promise of the future. Imagine a single designer, working late into the golden hour. There is no rush here, only the steady, intentional movement of a hand guided by intuition. The designer runs a palm over a full-scale clay model of a fastback curve. The clay is cool to the touch, smooth as river stone, yet holding the warmth of the overhead spotlights. The sound of a metal rake gently scraping the surface is a soft, percussive hushing she, as fine shavings of clay curl away like autumn leaves, falling silently to the polished floor. To look upon these lines is to see a vision of freedom captured in a stationary form. The long hood reaches forward like a deep breath held in anticipation, while the short rear deck suggests a graceful, effortless power. In the dimming light, the silhouette of the galloping horse on the grille seems to catch the last rays of the sun, glowing with a soft silver luminescence. It is a symbol not of speed, but of the spirit of the open road, the quiet joy of a journey taken for no other reason than to see where the horizon leads. Outside the window, the trees of Michigan sway in a gentle, nocturnal breeze. The leaves of the oaks and maples rustle with a sound like distant water, a natural lullaby that complements the interior silence. The modern skyline of Dearborn glows with a soft, blue light, reflecting in the polished surfaces of the prototypes that sit like sleeping giants in the dark. Each car is a vessel of memory, holding the stories of millions of miles driven under starlit skies, of quiet Sunday mornings on winding coastal roads, and of the simple, rhythmic vibration of an engine that feels like a heartbeat. On the designer's desk, sketches lie scattered like fallen petals. They are rendered in charcoal and soft ink, showing the evolution of a dream. The lines are fluid and interconnected, flowing from the headlights to the taillights in one continuous, harmonious wave. There is a deep sense of order here, a mathematical beauty that calms the mind. Every angle is considered, every proportion balanced, creating a visual symphony that requires no sound to be understood. As the night deepens, the blue light of the studio dims to a soft, charcoal gray. The shadows lengthen, wrapping the clay models in a velvet embrace. The vision in Dearborn is complete for the day, resting in the stillness of the workshop. The spirit of the Mustang, that timeless sense of wandering and wonder, remains, held in the quiet curves of the metal and the soft grain of the paper. It is a peaceful legacy, a dream of movement that invites you to close your eyes and drift along the endless, silver ribbon of a moonlit highway. The world is at rest, the vision is secure, and the road ahead is smooth, silent, and infinitely calm. The unveiling at the World's Fair the morning of April 17, 1964, dawns with a soft, pale clarity over Flushing Meadows, New York. The air is cool and still, carrying the faint, sweet scent of damp grass and the distant, rhythmic hum of the city waking up. Here, amidst the soaring arches and futuristic spires of the World's Fair, a sense of quiet anticipation hangs in the atmosphere, as delicate as the morning mist clinging to the Unisphere. This giant steel globe, silver and silent, reflects the first golden rays of the sun, its skeletal countenance casting long, tranquil shadows across the reflecting pools. You find yourself walking along the wide, polished promenades. The sound of your footsteps is rhythmic and steady, a gentle cadence against the smooth pavement. The fair is a garden of tomorrow, a place where the world has gathered to breathe in the promise of peace and the beauty of design. There is no rush here, only the slow, graceful movement of flags fluttering in a light breeze, the silks of 100 nations whispering against the sky. As you approach the Ford Pavilion, the Wonder Rotunda, the architecture rises up to meet you like a white cloud. It is a vast, circular temple of glass and steel, glowing with a soft, diffused light. Inside, the air is cool and carries the clean, nostalgic scent of fresh wax and new upholstery. The sounds are muffled, cushioned by the sheer scale of the space. You hear the faint, melodic chime of a distant fountain and the low, hushed murmurs of visitors moving with a slow, reverent curiosity. In the center of this quiet sanctuary, resting upon a circular dais that rotates with a movement so smooth it is nearly imperceptible, sits the Mustang. It is finished in a shade known as Wimbledon white, a color as soft and creamy as a fresh lily petal. The light from the high glass ceiling catches the curve of the long hood, sliding effortlessly down the flanks and over the short, tucked rear deck. The chrome bumpers shimmer with a gentle luster, reflecting the pastel colors of the pavilion like ripples on a pond. You move closer, drawn by the stillness of the machine. The lines of the car are long and purposeful, yet they possess a quiet grace, a rhythmic flow that leads the eye from the galloping horse on the grille to the triple-lensed. The horse is frozen in a moment of eternal movement, a silver shadow against a dark honeycomb, symbolizing a freedom that is calm and boundless. Peering through the window, you see the interior a deep, velvet crimson. The bucket seats look soft and inviting, the leather smooth to the touch. The steering wheel is a slender circle of polished wood and bright metal, waiting for a gentle hand. There is a profound sense of order and harmony in the cockpit. The gauges are clear and round, like small moons, and the scent of the new materials is grounding and pleasant. It is a space designed for a long, peaceful journey through a landscape of rolling hills and sun-drenched coastlines. Outside the pavilion, the fountains of the fair begin to rise, their waters dancing in slow, majestic arcs. The sunlight catches the spray, creating tiny, fleeting rainbows that drift through the air. You watch the Mustang as it continues its slow, rhythmic rotation. It is more than a car in this moment. It is a sculpture of hope, a physical manifestation of a bright and steady future. The day moves forward with a gentle, unhurried pace. The shadows of the Unisphere lengthen, stretching across the manicured lawns. The colors of the fair, the oranges, the teals, and the creams soften as the afternoon sun turns to a warm, honeyed amber. Everything is in balance. The world feels wide and welcoming, and as you stand in the quiet glow of the pavilion, you feel a deep sense of calm. The Mustang remains there, a silent sentinel of style, gleaming softly in the fading light, promising that the road ahead is smooth, quiet, and beautiful. You breathe in the stillness, letting the rhythm of the fountains and the soft light carry you into a peaceful, dreamless rest. Sculpting the pony car, imagine a room where time seems to slow to the pace of a steady, resting heartbeat. This is the inner sanctum of the Ford Design Studio in Dearborn, a place where the clamor of the outside world fades into a soft, rhythmic hum. The air here is cool and filtered, carrying the faint, earthy scent of warm industrial clay and the clean, metallic temps of shaved aluminum. High above, the skylights bathe the floor in a diffused, silver glow, casting long, gentle shadows that stretch across the polished linoleum. In the center of this quiet space stands a large, rectangular plinth. Upon it sits a mass of mahogany-colored clay, waiting to be breathed into life. This is the birth of the pony car, a process, not of loud machinery, but of silent, tactile grace. You can almost feel the stillness of the designers as they stand before the block, their movements deliberate and fluid, like a slow dance with the future. A designer picks up a wire loop tool, its wooden handle smooth and worn from years of use. With a steady hand, they draw the tool across the top of the clay. The sound is a soft, satisfying sheety, the sound of a thin ribbon of clay curling away and falling silently to the floor. Slowly, the long, elegant sweep of the hood begins to emerge. It is a line that speaks of endless horizons and open roads, stretching forward with a quiet, confident strength. The studio is a sanctuary of focus. There are no sudden noises here, only the rhythmic scraping of the tools and the soft, occasional murmur of a voice discussing the arc of a fender. You watch as a palm smoothed with water glides over the rear flank of the car. The clay is cool and supple under the touch, responding to the lightest pressure. The designer is looking for the C-scoop, that iconic indentation that will one day catch the light on a summer evening. They work by feel as much as by sight, tracing the contours until the shape feels balanced, harmonious, and right. As the hours drift by, the proportions of the Mustang begin to solidify. The short rear deck and the long, powerful front end create a silhouette that suggests movement even when perfectly still. It is the shape of a gallop, frozen in time. The light from the ceiling catches the ridge of the roofline, tracing a silver thread from the windshield back to the trip-lensed. Everything is intentional. Every curve is a meditation on freedom. In a corner of the studio, a craftsman is meticulously carving the emblem that will grace the grille. It is a small, silver horse. The details are fine and delicate, the flow of the mane, the tension in the legs. It is a symbol of a spirit that cannot be contained. Yet here, in the quiet of the studio, it is crafted with the utmost patience and peace. The modern world outside may be rushing, but inside this room, the legacy of the Mustang is being sculpted with the care of a masterwork. The clay model is now nearly complete, its surface polished until it glows like burnished leather. It stands as a testament to the beauty of human touch and the elegance of simple, powerful lines. As the sun begins to set outside, the golden hour light spills through the windows, turning the clay into a deep, warm amber. The tools are laid down on soft cloths. The designers step back, their breathing synchronized with the quietude of the room. The car is no longer just a shape. It is a promise of a journey yet to come. In this stillness, the Mustang is born not in a roar of engines, but in the soft, rhythmic silence of a dream being given form. The studio settles into a deep, peaceful dark, and the pony car rests, waiting for the dawn. The frenzy of the first 100 days. The world in the spring of 1964 felt as though it were exhaling, leaning forward into a season of soft light and new possibilities. At the New York World's Fair, the Unisphere rose like a silver skeleton against a bruised violet sky, its steel countenance shimmering under the glow of 1,000 hidden lamps. There was a quiet hum in the air, the sound of 1,000,000 footsteps on smooth pavement, and the distant, melodic chime of mid-century bells. It was here, amidst the fountains and the futuristic pavilions, that a new silhouette emerged, one that would quietly redefine the American landscape. The first 100 days of the Ford Mustang were not a roar, but a resonance. It began with the soft unveiling of a car that looked less like a machine and more like a promise. Imagine standing in a showroom on a Tuesday evening in late April. The glass windows are tall and clear, reflecting the amber streetlights outside. Inside, the floor is a polished sea of linoleum, smelling faintly of wax and fresh rubber. And there, positioned under a warm spotlight, sits the Mustang. Its paint is a deep, lustrous Wimbledon white, a color as smooth and cool as a river stone. Your hand reaches out to touch the flank, feeling the gentle curve of the metal. The way the C-scoop draws your eye toward the rear wheels. The chrome accents, the bumpers, the door handles, the delicate galloping pony in the grille catch the light and scatter it into soft, dancing diamonds across the ceiling. There is a stillness in the room, a collective hush of people simply looking, admiring the balance of the long hood and the short, elegant deck. As the days turned into weeks, this quiet fascination spread from the bright lights of Flushing Meadows to the leafy suburbs of the Midwest and the sun-drenched coastlines of the Pacific. To own one in those first 100 days was to carry a piece of the future. The interior of the car felt like a sanctuary. When you slide into the bucket seat, the vinyl is cool and supple. The steering wheel, thin and graceful with its 3 silver spokes, rests perfectly in your palms. There is no clutter here. Only the rhythmic ticking of the analog clock and the soft green glow of the instrument panel. Driving during this time felt like gliding. The engine didn't growl. It purred a low, rhythmic vibration that settled in your chest like a heartbeat. On a warm June evening, with the windows rolled down, the air smells of mown grass and blooming jasmine. The wind doesn't buffet. It caresses, flowing over the car's aerodynamic lines as you move down a quiet back road. The sound of the tires on the asphalt is a steady, hypnotic shee, a white noise that lulls the mind into a state of perfect calm. In every town, the arrival of a Mustang was a local event, yet it remained a peaceful one. Neighbors would gather on sidewalks as the sun began to set, watching as a neighbor pulled into their driveway. They spoke in low, admiring tones, their silhouettes elongated by the golden hour. There was a sense of shared beauty, a realization that something had been designed not just for speed, but for the soul. The first 100 days were a period of gentle transformation. By the time the summer heat had fully arrived, the Mustang had become part of the scenery, as natural as the oak trees lining the boulevards. It sat in driveways under the silver light of the moon, its chrome glinting softly, waiting for the next morning's journey. It was a time of grace, a moment where the world slowed down just enough to appreciate the curve of a fender and the steady, rhythmic pulse of a new era beginning. The frenzy was not one of noise, but of a deep, quiet belonging. Highland Green in San Francisco. The fog rolls in from the Pacific, a soft white blanket that tucks the city of San Francisco into a quiet slumber. It is a morning of muted silver and cool, damp air, a time when the world feels small, intimate, and infinitely still. In the heart of a quiet garage, nestled among the Victorian silhouettes of Russian Hill, a legend rests. It is a 1968 Mustang GT Fastback, finished in a coat of Highland Green, so deep it looks like the shadows of a redwood forest at dusk. The car does not demand attention, it commands a quiet respect. In this modern light, the paint catches the pale glow of the street lamps, revealing a subtle metallic flake that glimmers like dew on moss. This is not the bright neon flash of the modern age, but a color of earth and stone, of history and heritage. It is a shade that belongs to the hills, to the mist, and to the rhythmic pulse of the city's winding streets. As you approach, the air carries the faint, nostalgic scent of aged leather, cold steel, and the sweet, lingering ghost of gasoline. You reach out, your fingers trailing over the smooth, cold curve of the rear haunch. The fastback line is a single, unbroken stroke of design, a gentle slope that suggests movement, even while the car remains perfectly still. There is a weight to the door as it opens, a mechanical honesty that resonates with a soft, metallic click. Settling into the low-slung bucket seat, you are cradled by the past. The interior is a sanctuary of analog simplicity. The steering wheel is thin, framed in wood that feels smooth and polished by decades of careful hands. Before you, the large, round gauges wait in patient silence, their needles resting at zero, their faces glowing with a soft, amber warmth. There is no digital hum here, no frantic glow of screens, only the tactile reality of chrome switches and the heavy, rhythmic tick of the dashboard clock. The key turns with a deliberate, satisfying rotation. The 390 cubic inch V8 does not roar to life, it awakens with a deep, melodic thrum. It is a sound that vibrates in the chest, a low-frequency heartbeat that settles into a steady, comforting idyll. It is the sound of a large, powerful cat purring in the dark. The vibration travels through the floorboards, a gentle massage for the soul, grounding you in the present moment. You shift into gear, the linkage moving with a heavy, oiled precision. As the Mustang pulls out into the gray morning, the city feels like a private gallery. The tires hum softly over the damp asphalt, a rhythmic she that harmonizes with the low burble of the exhaust. You begin the ascent up Taylor Street, the car climbing with effortless grace. The suspension breathes with the road, undulating over the gentle crests and dips of the hills, like a ship on a calm sea. To your left, the Coit Tower emerges from the fog, a ghostly sentinel watching over the bay. To your right, the painted ladies stand in a row, their pastel facades softened by the morning mist. The Highland Green of the Mustang reflects the muted colors of the city, the slate blues, the earthy browns, and the pale creams of the architecture. You are a part of the landscape, a moving shadow in a world of watercolor. There is no rush. The pace is slow, dictated by the rhythm of the fog and the steady beat of the engine. As you reach the summit of a hill, the Golden Gate Bridge appears in the distance, its international orange glowing softly through the white haze. You pull to the side of the road and let the engine idle. The sound is a steady, rhythmic pulse, a mechanical lullaby that speaks of timelessness and the enduring beauty of a machine built with soul. Here, in the quiet heights of San Francisco, the Highland Green Mustang is more than a car. It is a bridge between eras, a vessel of memory that carries the spirit of the past into the stillness of the modern morning. You sit in the warmth of the cabin, watching the fog dance across the long, dark hood, feeling the gentle vibration of the V8, and finding a profound, resonant peace in the heart of the city. Shelby's performance touch. The workshop is quiet now, bathed in the soft, amber glow of the late afternoon sun as it spills through high, industrial windows. Here, in this cathedral of modern engineering, the air is still, carrying the faint, clean scent of polished aluminum, high-grade leather, and the sweet, waxy aroma of a fresh detail. In the center of the room rests a modern Shelby Mustang, a testament to a legacy that began with a handshake in the 1960s and has evolved into a masterpiece of contemporary grace. The silhouette of the car is a landscape of intentional curves and purposeful lines. In this peaceful light, the signature racing stripes rendered in a deep, midnight blue, against a coat of shimmering white seem to flow like a river over the hood. There is no noise here, only the rhythmic ticking of a cooling engine, a gentle, metallic heartbeat that signals a journey successfully completed. Each small tink-tink of the metal contracting is a soft note in a symphony of rest, a reminder of the immense power that now lies dormant and serene. As you move closer, your eyes trace the intricate details of the Shelby's touch. The iconic Cobra emblem, cast in polished chrome, sits proudly upon the honeycomb grille. It does not look aggressive in this light. Rather, it looks like a guardian of a long and storied history. The carbon fiber accents, woven with microscopic precision, catch the fading light, revealing a texture as fine as silk. You can imagine the steady, patient hands that guided these materials into place. The modern craftsmen who honor Carroll Shelby's vision with every bolt tightened and every surface smoothed. Step inside the cabin, and the world outside seems to fade into a distant murmur. The door closes with a muted, solid thud, sealing you in a cocoon of quiet luxury. The seats are upholstered in charcoal alcantara, a fabric so soft it feels like a whisper against the skin. The stitching is perfect as steady, rhythmic line of contrasting thread that follows the contours of the interior, like a map of quiet intentions. There is a stillness here that invites reflection. The steering wheel, thick and wrapped in supple suede, rests beneath your hands, cold and steady. On the dashboard, a small plaque bears a chassis number, a unique thumbprint in the lineage of performance. It is a quiet acknowledgement that this machine is part of something larger than itself, bridge between the raw, mechanical spirit of the past and the refined, digital precision of the present. The modern Shelby does not need to roar to command respect. In this moment of repose, its presence is felt through the sheer quality of its silence. Outside, the wind brushes against the garage doors, a soft whistling that harmonizes with the cooling sighs of the tires. The wide, high-performance rubber holds the floor with a grounded stability, a firm connection to the earth. Everything about the vehicle suggests a balance between strength and tranquility. The massive brakes, visible through the spokes of the dark alloy wheels, are cool to the touch now, their work finished for the day. As the sun dips below the horizon, the amber light turns to a deep, restful violet. The shadows stretch long and thin across the polished concrete floor, cradling the Mustang in a velvet darkness. The modern Shelby is more than a car in this stillness. It is a sculpture of heritage, a quiet promise of excellence, kept through the decades. The legacy of the performance touch is not found in the noise of the track, but in the meticulous, peaceful perfection of the machine at rest. The day is done, the engineering is complete, and the spirit of the Mustang sleeps in the cradle of modern craftsmanship. Slow, steady, and profound, the silence remains. The Mach 1 sunset. The sun hangs low over the western horizon, a heavy coin of beaten copper dipping toward the edge of the world. In this quiet stretch of the modern era, where the high-pitched hum of the digital age usually reigns, there is a different kind of stillness. Here, on a ribbon of asphalt that winds through the cooling hills, sits the modern Mach 1. It is a bridge between then and now, a silhouette of heritage rendered in the smooth, aerodynamic language of the present. The car is finished in a muted fighter jet gray, a color that seems to drink in the lengthening shadows. As the golden hour transitions into the velvet blue of twilight, the orange accents along the side stripes begin to glow with a soft, neon-like intensity. There is no rush here. The engine, a masterwork of modern engineering, is not screaming toward a finish line. Instead, it breathes with a deep, rhythmic pulse, a low-frequency thrum that vibrates gently in the chest, steady as a heartbeat. It is a resonant, mechanical lullaby that speaks of capability held in reserve, a quiet power that has no need to prove itself to the cooling air. The hood, long and sculpted, catches the final glints of light. The matte black decals, a nod to the Mach 1's ancestors, are smooth to the touch, cool under the rising evening dew. The air moving over the bodywork is silent, flowing around the integrated spoilers and through the honeycomb grille with a soft, rushing whisper. Every line of the car is purposeful yet serene, a study in how metal can be made to look like liquid, held in a state of grace. Inside the cabin, the environment is a sanctuary of soft-touch materials and dimmable light. The digital instrument cluster glows with a gentle, amber hue, reminiscent of the analog gauges of the late 60s but polished with the clarity of a mountain lake. The leather-trimmed seats are wide and supportive, holding the driver in a steady embrace. There is the faint, pleasant scent of new upholstery and the clean, crisp ozone of a high-altitude evening. The cue ball shifter sits prominently in the center console, a smooth, white sphere that feels cool and solid in the palm of the hand, a tactile connection to a lineage of movement. As the car glides forward at a walking pace, the Magna-Ride suspension works in silence, reading the road 1,000 times a second. It turns the imperfections of the pavement into a seamless, undulating silk. There is no jarring, no vibration, only the sensation of floating just above the earth. The world outside the glass begins to blur into soft streaks of violet and indigo. The oak trees lining the road stand like silent sentinels, their leaves shivering in the light breeze that follows the Mustang's wake. The Mach 1 eventually comes to a rest at an overlook, the nose pointed toward the fading embers of the day. The driver turns the presses the pulse red starter button, and the deep rumble of the 5.0-liter V8 sighs into a final, contented exhale. Silence rushes back in to fill the space, punctuated only by the rhythmic tink-tink of the cooling exhaust manifolds. It is a small, metallic clockwork sound, the song of a machine settling into a well-earned sleep. The heat rises from the vents in the hood in shimmering waves, distorting the stars that are just beginning to pierce the darkening canopy of the sky. The modern Mach 1 sits perfectly still, a dark shape against the lavender hills. It is a moment of absolute equilibrium, where the legacy of the past and the technology of the future meet in a quiet, peaceful present. The air is still, the road is empty, the Mach 1 has reached its sunset, and the world is at rest. A change in the tide. Imagine a morning in the early 1960s, where the light over Dearborn, Michigan, arrives not with a shout, but with a soft, golden amber glow. The air is cool and carries the faint, sweet scent of damp grass and the distant, rhythmic hum of a city waking up in harmony. In this quiet interval, we find ourselves standing within the hallowed, high-ceilinged halls of the Ford design studio. Here, the world feels still, suspended in a moment of creative grace. The transition is beginning, gentle change in the tide of how we move through the world. The heavy, ornate silhouettes of the previous decade are slowly receding, like a calm sea pulling back from the shore. In their place, a new vision is being carved out of silence. On the long wooden drafting tables, the light catches the fine dust of graphite. Designers move with a steady, unhurried precision, their pencils gliding across vellum with a soft, rhythmic hush-hush sound. There is no urgency here, only the steady pulse of a dream taking shape. In the center of the room stands a full-scale model, not of steel, but of warm, supple clay. The scent of the clay is earthy and grounding, reminiscent of a garden after a summer rain. A sculptor moves around the form, his hands steady and sure. He uses a wire loop tool to shave away a thin ribbon of material, a movement as fluid as a bow across a cello. The ribbon curls and falls silently to the floor. Under the soft glow of the overhead lamps, the shape of the Mustang begins to emerge, not as a machine of war or power, but as a vessel of elegance. Its lines are long and clean, flowing from the front fenders back toward the rear like water moving over smooth river stones. This is the era of the long hood and short deck, a silhouette that suggests a quiet, forward momentum. It is a design that breathes. You can almost feel the air sliding over the imaginary chrome, a cool breeze that follows the curve of the roofline. There is a profound peace in this geometry. The car is becoming a companion for the open road, a way to bridge the distance between where we are and where we wish to be, all while wrapped in a sense of calm security. Outside the studio, the American landscape is also shifting its hue. The suburban streets are wide and lined with young maples, their leaves whispering in a gentle wind. The houses are painted in soft pastel seafoam green, pale buttercup, and sky blue. Life moves at a walking pace. On the horizon, the great ribbons of the new interstate highways stretch out like velvet paths, waiting to be explored. There is a sense of infinite space, a quiet invitation to simply drive, to let the steady vibration of the road beneath the wheels lull the mind into a state of pure reflection. That as the sun climbs higher, the colors of the era begin to shimmer. We see the first iterations of Wimbledon white, a cream so soft it looks like folded silk. We see the deep, contemplative depth of Guardsman blue. These are not colors of aggression, but colors of a bright, clear morning. The interior of the car is being imagined, Now the scent of fresh vinyl and the smooth, cool touch of a brushed aluminum dashboard. The steering wheel is thin and elegant, designed to be held lightly, guided by a single thumb as the world drifts by in a blur of green meadows and white fences. The tide has changed. The world is no longer looking back at the heavy shadows of the past, but is leaning gently into a future that feels light, airy, and full of grace. The Mustang is the heartbeat of this transition, a quiet promise of freedom that doesn't need to roar to be heard. It is the sound of a soft wind through an open window. It is the feeling of a long, smooth curve on a coastal road at dusk. As the design is finalized, and the clay model stands perfect and still in the fading afternoon light, we feel a deep sense of contentment. The journey is just beginning, and the road ahead is smooth, quiet, and endlessly beautiful. Close your eyes now, and let the rhythmic hum of that imagined engine carry you into a deep, effortless rest. The edge of the Fox body, the sun has dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a sky the color of a faded Polaroid, soft lavenders and bruised blues that settle over the quiet suburbs. In the stillness of a modern evening, the world slows its frantic pace, and we find ourselves standing before a garage door that glides upward with a rhythmic, metallic hum. Inside, bathed in the soft, amber glow of overhead LEDs, sits the silhouette of an era. This is the edge of the Fox body, a design defined by its clean geometry and a quiet, understated confidence. To look at the Fox body Mustang in the modern day is to appreciate the beauty of a straight line. Unlike the rounded, windswept curves of contemporary cars, this Mustang possesses a crispness that feels intentional and calm. The long hood stretches forward, catching the light on its flat surface, while the glass of the hatchback reflects the deepening twilight like a dark, still pool of water. It is a shape that doesn't shout. It breathes. You run a hand along the fender, feeling the cool, smooth paint, perhaps in a deep emerald green or a soft, titanium froststand. The surface is steady and cold beneath your fingertips. The air in the garage is still, carrying the faint, nostalgic scent of carnauba, wax and aged leather. As you open the door, there is a mechanical clarity to the sound, a solid, rhythmic click of the latch that speaks of a time when things were built with a tactile weight. You settle into the driver's seat, and the world outside seems to recede. The interior is a sanctuary of grey velour and soft-touch plastics, a cockpit designed for focus and ease. The dashboard is a landscape of simple, rectangular gauges, their needles resting at zero, waiting for the gentle breath of life. You turn the key, not with a flourish, but with a slow, deliberate motion. The engine does not roar. It awakens with a low-frequency pulse, a rhythmic thrum that vibrates through the floorboards and into the soles of your feet. This is the 5.0-liter heart, a steady, dependable beat that feels like a heavy clock ticking in a quiet room. It is a sound that settles the nerves, a deep, resonant baritone that hums at the very edge of hearing. The idle is consistent, a soft thrum that mimics the pace of a resting heart. Shifting the gear lever into place is a smooth, mechanical transition. As the car rolls slowly out of the driveway, the tires crunch softly over the fine gravel, a sound as crisp as dry leaves. The modern world is asleep now. The streetlights cast long, rhythmic pools of gold across the hood as you glide through the neighborhood. The Fox body moves with a lightness that feels effortless, its suspension soaking up the gentle undulations of the asphalt like a ship over a calm swell. Through the thin pillars of the roof, the visibility is endless. You see the stars beginning to prick through the velvet sky, and the silhouettes of oak trees passing by in a slow, cinematic blur. There is no urgency here. The edge of this era was about a new kind of freedom, stripping away of the heavy chrome of the past to reveal something lean, functional, and inherently peaceful. As you reach a quiet overlook, you let the car come to a gentle rest. The engine continues its steady, rhythmic pulse for a moment before you turn the key back. The silence that follows is profound. You hear the faint, rhythmic tink-tink of the metal cooling, a soft, mechanical lullaby that signals the end of the journey. The Fox body sits in the moonlight, its sharp edges softened by the shadows, a timeless sentinel of the American road. In this modern moment, the car is more than a machine. It is a quiet space, a memory held in steel, resting peacefully on the edge of the night. Returning to the roots, the sun sets slowly over the rolling hills of Dearborn, Michigan, casting long, amber shadows across the quiet pavement of the design campus. It is the turn of the millennium, a time of reflection and quiet anticipation. Inside the hushed sanctuary of the Ford Design Studio, the air is cool and carries the faint, earthy scent of modeling clay and the clean aroma of fresh drafting paper. The lights are dimmed to a soft, golden glow, illuminating a silhouette that feels both entirely new and comfortingly familiar. This is the moment the Mustang begins its journey back to its soul, a period the designers called the returning to the roots. For years, the car had followed the sharp, geometric lines of the modern age, but now, there is a collective desire to breathe the spirit of 1964 back into the metal. You can almost hear the rhythmic scratch of charcoal on vellum as artists trace the familiar arc of the fastback roofline. They move with a slow, deliberate grace, their hands gliding over full-scale clay models that are as smooth as river stones. There is no rush here, only the steady, peaceful pulse of creativity. They are rediscovering the long hood, short deck proportions that first captured the world's imagination, treating the heritage of the car with the quiet reverence of a shared memory. As the design for the 2005 model, the S197 takes shape, the atmosphere is one of profound harmony. The sharp, aggressive angles of the previous decade melt away, replaced by the soft, muscular curves of the classic era. Imagine the gentle clinking of sculpting tools against a workbench, a sound as rhythmic as a ticking clock. The designers look back at the original blueprints, the ink faded to a soft blue, and they find a sense of peace in the continuity of the design. They reintroduce the large, round headlamps that sit like steady eyes at the front of the grille, and the 3-bar taillights that glow with a deep, ruby warmth. When the first prototype finally rolls out onto the test track under a canopy of twilight stars, the sound is not a roar, but a low, resonant hum. The modern V8 engine breathes with a steady, mechanical heartbeat, a sound that vibrates softly through the soles of your feet like a distant, reassuring drum. The car moves through the cool night air with a fluid, effortless motion. The wind whispers softly over the polished surface of the hood, a gentle hush that mimics the sound of the tide pulling away from the shore. Inside the cabin, the dashboard glows with a soft, adjustable light, perhaps a cool, minty green or a warm, nostalgic orange reminiscent of the chrome-rimmed gauges of the 60s. Driving this Mustang through the quiet countryside feels like a conversation with history. The steering is smooth and weighted, responding to the lightest touch, guiding the car through gentle curves, as if it knows the way home. The scent of the interior is a soothing blend of new leather and quiet stillness. There is a profound sense of balance here. The car does not fight the road, but cradles the driver in a cocoon of engineering excellence and nostalgic grace. It is a machine that honors the passage of time, while standing perfectly still in its own legacy. As the moon rises high, silvering the edges of the galloping horse emblem on the steering wheel, the Mustang settles into its role as a modern icon. It has returned to the simplicity of its youth, shedding the complexities of the intervening years to embrace a timeless silhouette. The world outside is quiet, the trees standing as silent sentinels along the dark ribbon of the highway. In this space, there is only the rhythmic hum of the tires on the asphalt and the steady, peaceful glow of the headlights cutting through the dark. The journey back to the roots is complete, leaving a sense of deep, enduring calm, as the Mustang finds its place once again in the heart of the American landscape. The global ambassador of the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of bruised plum and soft amber, and the modern era of the Ford Mustang begins not with a roar, but with a steady, rhythmic pulse. In this chapter of its long journey, the Mustang has stepped beyond the borders of its birthplace, stretching its silver-shod hooves toward distant shores. It has become a global ambassador, a quiet traveler traversing the winding mountain passes of the Alps, the neon-washed boulevards of Tokyo, and the salt-sprayed coastal roads of the Great Ocean Road. Imagine the car resting now in the cool, blue twilight of a cobblestoned European square. The engine has been stilled, but the warmth of its journey lingers, a gentle heat radiating from the hood, like a hearth in winter. The design is a study in fluid motion, even in stillness. The long, sweeping lines of the bodywork catch the fading light, tracing a path from the familiar, aggressive brow of the headlights back to the iconic tri-bar lamps that glow with a soft, steady luminescence. There is a profound sense of balance, a marriage of heritage and the sleek, polished precision of the 21st century. Inside the cabin, the atmosphere is one of serene sanctuary. The scent of high-quality hand-stitched leather fills the air, deep and comforting. The ambient lighting glows with a soft, customizable hue, perhaps a cool ice blue or a warm, golden candlelight, illuminating the brushed aluminum accents that curve along the dashboard. Every dial and switch moves with a dampened, tactile weight, a testament to the quiet craftsmanship of a world that has learned to value the touch as much as the sight. As we move through the night, we find ourselves on a high-altitude road in the heart of Switzerland. The air is thin and crisp, carrying the scent of pine needles and damp earth. The Mustang glides through the darkness, its headlights carving a luminous path through the rolling fog. There is no sound here but the rhythmic thrum of the tires against the smooth asphalt, a steady hum that synchronizes with the slow, deep breaths of the sleeping valleys below. The car moves with a liquid grace, leaning gently into the curves, its suspension absorbing every pebble and ripple, until the ride feels like floating upon a dark, velvet river dot in the distance. The lights of a city appear like a constellation fallen to earth. Here, in the urban sprawl, the Mustang is a silent observer. It reflects the vibrant greens and pinks of the city's neon heartbeat in its polished paint. It sits at a red light, the idol of the engine, a low, resonant frequency that vibrates softly in the soles of your feet, a purr of hidden strength that remains perfectly contained, perfectly peaceful. This modern iteration is a bridge between worlds. It carries the spirit of the open American road to the narrow, historic lanes of the old world and the high-tech arteries of the new. It is a universal language of design, understood by the watcher on a balcony in Sydney and the driver on the auto. There is a deep, quiet satisfaction in the way the steering wheel feels beneath the palms, a heavy, reassuring connection to the earth beneath. As the journey nears its end for the night, the car pulls into a quiet garage, the floor cool and the air still. The lights dim slowly, fading like embers in a dying fire. The metal of the exhaust gives a final, tiny tink-tink, cooling in the shadows. The world is quiet now. The global ambassador has completed its rounds, carrying the legacy of 1,000 sunsets and 1,000,000 miles into the stillness of the present. It rests a silver shadow in the dark, embodying a sense of freedom that knows no borders, a quiet icon of a world that is, for this moment, entirely at peace. Silently into the future, the world begins to settle into a soft, indigo hush. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long golden shadows across the pavement, we find ourselves in the present moment. The air is cool, carrying the faint sweet scent of evening jasmine and damp earth. Here, in the quiet of a modern driveway, stands the latest chapter of a long and storied journey. The Mustang has arrived at a new frontier, one where the thunder of the past softens into the whisper of the future. Observe the silhouette in the fading light. It remains unmistakable, the long, proud hood, the short rear deck, and that familiar, galloping pony centered in the grille. But as we move closer, the textures have changed. The surfaces are smoother now, like stones polished by a steady river. The paint, a deep metallic blue, catches the last of the light, shimmering with a depth that feels like looking into a clear, still lake. There is no urgency here, only a sense of refined poise that as you approach, the car senses your presence. It does not bark or growl. Instead, it breathes. Soft LED lights wake up in a slow, rhythmic sequence, the 3 vertical bars of the taillights glowing a warm, steady crimson. It is a welcoming gesture, a silent invitation to leave the noise of the day behind. Opening the door, you are met with a sanctuary of modern craft. The scent is clean, a blend of high-quality recycled textiles and the faint, earthy aroma of treated leather. The cabin is bathed in a gentle, ambient glow, a soft wash of light that traces the contours of the dashboard like a distant aurora. You settle into the seat, which contours perfectly to your form, supporting you in a gentle embrace. Everything is tactile and deliberate. Your fingers brush over the knurled metal of the toggles and the smooth, cool glass of the digital interface. In this modern era, the Mustang has learned the art of silence. As the car begins to move, there is no mechanical vibration, no shudder of combustion. It glides forward on a cushion of quiet energy. The sound of the electric motor is a faint, melodic hum, a low-frequency song that feels less like a machine and more like the wind rushing through a high mountain pass. It is the sound of progress, steady and serene. We travel now down a winding coastal road, the pavement a dark ribbon beneath the tires. The only sound is the rhythmic thrum of the wheels passing over the expansion joints and the soft rustle of the air flowing over the aerodynamic mirrors. The steering feels fluid, an extension of your own thoughts. guiding the car through the curves with the grace of a hawk circling on a thermal. Through the panoramic glass roof, the stars begin to emerge, pinpricks of light in a velvet sky. The modern Mustang carries you through this landscape not as a disruptor, but as a participant in the evening's stillness. The regenerative braking feels like a gentle hand slowing a swing, a natural and rhythmic ebb and flow of energy. As we reach the end of this quiet journey, the car comes to a rest. The headlights dim slowly, fading like a lingering thought. The world is still. The Mustang, once a symbol of raw, rebellious noise, has matured into a vessel of peaceful transition. It stands as a bridge between the heritage of the open road and the quiet promise of tomorrow. Close your eyes now, and imagine that soft electric hum fading into the distance. The journey is complete. The road is dark and quiet, and the future is a calm, steady light on the horizon. Sleep comes as easily as a car coasting down a long, gentle hill, moving silently, effortlessly, into the deep peace of the night.